Hello, and welcome to another episode of Curiosity Labs Between Two Nerds, where every week we invite a small human being on to have a little chat with us about science. If you are watching this on YouTube, and as I've said before, you need your eyeballs for something else, you can find us on all the major podcast channels as Between Two Nerds, or indeed if you're listening on the podcast and would like to know what we look like, check us out on YouTube /betweentwonerds.com.
It's actually youtube.com/c/between. But anyway.
Well, Google will sort that out for you. It's what he said.
Just get the app.
Just find us.
Just get the app.
They're more techie than we are. Just get the app. If you haven't already, please do hit that subscribe button. I'm casually pointing to it now, and that little bell. And it might be a little early so far, but if you do end up liking this video, we'd really appreciate if you'd hit that little like. It makes a big difference to us, just mentally, really.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it makes any difference as far as YouTube's concerned, but
Just keeping score.
it makes us feel good. And if at any point you are desperate to write a comment, please do so, based on anything we're talking about or based on anything we're not talking about.
Yeah.
I'll be seeing what you guys say.
You'll be watching. Well,
Yeah.
now you've joined the conversation, let's introduce you. So this week's confident small human being is...
Selim.
And how old are you, Selim?
9.
Awesome, welcome.
Cool.
Hi.
And you know the nerds are Mo.
And I'm Eugene.
Okay, Selim. What would you like to ask?
So,
What would you like to talk about?
how do nerves work?
Where's that question? How?
Why are you asking?
Yeah, why?
Because I fell off my bike.
Okay.
And just thought of it.
So you fell off your bike, hurt yourself somewhere.
And I'm like,
Felt
don't
pain.
worry about the pain.
Okay, good. It's
How do
about
my
more like
nerves
the...
work?
Why
good.
did we involve these
Yeah.
involved nerves when all they're doing right now is causing you to feel pain
Yeah.
in your...
So that's actually a good question as well.
Sorry,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well done, Eugene.
Thanks. Thank you.
Not patronizing at all.
No, I didn't feel patronised. It's fine.
Okay, so what happened? So when you fell off the bike, right now you have nerve endings, like the ends of your nerves all around on your skin, right? And the ones that at least help you let you feel pain are nociceptors, or they feel like, right? So what they do is the minute there's some amount of pressure that should make you feel pain, they send a signal. So the minute they're what's the word I'm looking for? Triggered.
Activated.
Yeah, activated is actually the right one, right? So if they're activated, what they do is they actually send an electrical signal, right, up through the nerve to your central nervous system, which is your brain and your spinal cord, right? The nerves that run down. And that would go to a certain region of your brain, the pain region of your brain, for it to be processed. So your brain makes sense of that and would send a signal back. Now, okay, let's say if it was for you touched something hot, right? Like a hot pan. The minute you touched it, you felt two things. You felt the temperature, right? So they have special nerve endings that feel a difference in temperature and special ones that feel pain. So actually the temperature one will send that signal to your brain. Your brain would also process that as pain, and that would send another signal down to the nerve endings in your muscles to make your muscles contract and move away from that stimulus that's causing the pain, right? So nerves work by electrical signals, actually electrical and chemical signals. So it's actually like a little bit of electricity running along a nerve. When one nerve needs to join up to another nerve or neuron, right? What that nerve does, it releases a chemical, right? That chemical gets detected by the next nerve or neuron, and that sets up another electrical signal that runs along to the next place it needs to go, and that's it. So it's electricity and chemical signals.
First of all, ow. Second of all, what's that chemical called?
The chemical, it's a neurotransmitter. There's a bunch of them. I don't know why I want to say acetylcholine.
Say it. Well, you said it. Say it louder if you're going to say it.
I think it's acetylcholine is one particular neurotransmitter, right? There's a few different ones, but this place where one neuron is in contact. So they're not actually touching each other. Because if it did, you'd have no control over where your nerves are going, where your signals are going. So you need to have like a gap between the two neurons called a synapse, right? And when the electrical signal gets to the end of one neuron, a chemical, the neurotransmitter, is released, and it gets detected by the next one. And then that sets up an electrical signal down the other side.
To your brain.
Yeah, so it doesn't always have to go to your brain. There's some things, some signals that just go to your spinal cord and back down to where they need to. So that's a reflex. So right now, I know. So if I hit you do the thing where a doctor does, where they hit that tendon there. You see there? That one didn't go up to your brain. It just went to your spinal cord and back down to the muscles to get you to react. So not all reflexes don't have to go to your brain. It's electrical signals. Now what's amazing about this, by the way, is how quickly these signals get sent. So they're traveling a pretty big distance, right? So let's say I chucked a ball at you, right? You have to, so here you're seeing, right? So you're seeing these lights hitting the back of your eyeball, right? Your retina, and then it creates a signal. It goes along your optic nerve to your vision, the vision region, cortex,
sensor,
right?
Control sensor.
Right, which I think is the back of your head, I think.
Why would you chuck a ball at me, though?
If I threw a ball, but let's say we're playing catch.
Bit of a laugh.
Yeah, right? Okay. Then you want to react to that and catch it. So you have to send it to that region of the brain for your brain to make sense that a ball is being thrown at you. Then you need to send signals to your motor part of your body, which controls how you move, the motion of your body, and also the coordination part, which I think is cerebellum, right? So two different parts, and then send that signal to the muscles in your arm to bring your hand to the right spot and catch the ball. Yeah. And that happens.
And your brain has also done the math.
Yeah.
And figured out, based on that tiny little movement you've seen, where the curvature, the arc that ball's going to take, based on the speed that ball's going to go, so that you get your hand in exactly the right place. So there's a lot going on.
So you know
super
how
quick.
fast you need to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that ball, that curvature, that your brain works out exactly where that ball's going to travel, and you get into position. Now, some people aren't very good at catching. It's actually, when you're not so good at catching, it's more likely to catch itself than the brain working out where the ball's going to be, because our brains are naturally very, very good at that.
Yeah. So basically doing that math. Yeah. So just doing that math.
Really complex math.
Yeah, very, very quickly. That's why it's really hard, because we couldn't train a robot to do the same thing as well as a human can yet. Because it's just there's so many variables, so many things that change. So calculating the path, right? So we can calculate how fast the ball's moving, its angle, its what you call it, trajectory against gravity, right? And then send an accurate enough signal to the muscles to get your hand to the right spot at the right time, and then close it at the right time. So I don't think we can get robots to do. I mean, it's a pretty big deal when we have a robot that opens a door. So, yeah.
So something I've always wondered is, like, about computers, is someone's programmed a computer that can beat someone that's like the world's best chess player.
Yeah, that's cool.
But then the person that made the computer can't beat the world's best chess player. That's what I've always wondered.
That's a great.
That's a great question.
That's the sort of thing, if that's keeping you up at night, that's a great way to think.
Yeah. So it's actually quite amazing. Okay, so first there was the chess one, right, which was early 90s.
Yeah.
I remember being a kid when that happened.
Rough, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So now the thing with chess is there are certain rules, right? Every piece can only move a particular way. And there are only so many squares on the board. It's quite easy for a computer to run every possible sequence. Like, okay, if he moved here and then that then he can run every possible simulation of what the next 100 moves or something are going to be, and to make the right move to counteract all of that. That's actually quite simple.
Yeah, what a computer can do, so you're right, this guy is bossing the program. If I'm a human that's writing this computer program, then you would assume that I am the authority. Now, however smart I am, however smart you are, what our brains are not as good as computers at is processing volumes of data, volumes of information. So if you imagine it in a book, if I got a book that thick, and I said, right, I need you to read this book and understand it, that you can tell me anything, right, what was on page 211 in a book that big. Our brains aren't designed to do that.
Yeah.
A computer can take that information and then search and pull out that information like that. Well, these days, it's
but only if that computer was programmed to do that. So although that computer, I think it's Deep Blue, that beat the Gary Kasparov, right, was amazing at doing all of this incredible amount of math. It was only, at the time at least, it was only good at playing chess. It wasn't good at doing other things.
Couldn't have a chat.
Yeah.
So
Right.
like,
So we call this in artificial intelligence, right? AI. We call this narrow AI, right? So it's only good at one particular task. Right now, we even have like this calculator on my watch is better at calculating than I am, but it can only do that, right?
it's not programmed.
Yeah, it's not programmed, it's not built to do anything else.
It's not programmed to tell you this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. So it's very bad at everything else except for the one thing that it's programmed to do. And then all you have to do is give it rules that it has to follow, and it can do that really well. All right.
It's like just one tool, like a hammer. It's good at one thing.
Very
it's not
good analogy. Good job.
Great analogy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
an
Right.
analogy.
That was. Wait.
You explain the same thing using a different example, a different
yeah.
story. So we're
Right.
talking about computers, and you said it's like, I can say the same thing using a hammer as an example. That's an analogy.
Yeah.
An analogy.
Yeah, but more impressive than the chess one was 3-4 years ago. There's this game called Go, right? Which is even more harder than chess. Like, it's more complicated because there's so many more possible moves and permutations in the game. Okay, so the AI that beat the world's best Go player, right, a few years ago, which is was a big deal, right? Now that is called Alphago. I think it's Google made it. Google made it. I think so. And Alphago, right? The program. No one programmed the program to how to win the game, or gave it the rules. So it's this thing called machine learning, which is how they like to program new AI. Okay, so it's where all they did was they showed a bunch of games. When I say a bunch, like thousands of games. I'm going to simplify this a lot, but they showed this program, right? Thousands and thousands of games, and it just by watching the games, it figured out the rules of the game and the best way to play it. So no one gave it any strategy, right? No one gave it a strategy of how to win or program the rules. It just learned it on its own.
So it
And
was to watch it.
yeah, that's all it did. That's machine learning. So it just, that's just how it figured it out. So now the scary thing about that is, we make programs learn, do machine learning now instead of just programming it, is that we don't know how the program then knows what to do. So if AI ever decided to not like humans very much, we wouldn't know like what's going on in the program.
So much to worry about.
Yeah.
But they're just robots. It would be easy to kill.
Yeah.
You ever tried to kill a robot?
No, you just take a knife to its head and just,
Head.
A knife to a
just
robot's
cut
head.
just cut one wire.
Yeah. So there's one thing that they're dependent on us for power, right? But with the advanced enough. Okay, so the scary thing is not that Alphago is going to take over the world. right? Now, what our AI researchers are trying to do is build something called general intelligence, AGI, artificial general intelligence. So a program that's good at everything.
Just learning stuff.
Cutting.
Yeah, like can do. It's good at programming, at least for any task possible. Like we have great general intelligence, right? We're okay at calculating numbers if you've done some math, right? We're quite good at communicating with each other, but so we have a good general intelligence, and we're good at playing chess, and we're good at playing football, and all sorts of things. So doing the equivalent of that for our AGI.
It wouldn't necessarily be a robot.
Yeah. It's just a program.
So there was no, they didn't personify the Go game, did they? That was just literally a computer program. I mean, they might have done it for PR, you might say.
No, there was no.
It would have to be able to move around, though, if it was good at everything.
Yeah, if it's that good, it can possibly figure. Okay, once you connect it to the internet, now it doesn't have to move anywhere. It can go just about anywhere in the world. So if it's so good at it, it could hack any system, right?
Apple.
You could break into like Apple, yeah. That app store. I was thinking more like Pentagon and like
Pentagon?
Get some free apps.
Yeah, it's the military office, I guess, of America.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, or like or like infrastructure and like your power grid and stuff. So it could hack into any system, do whatever, and we wouldn't know. And also, by the way, what's even scary about it is when computers do this, they are incredibly fast at doing it.
Is the one that's good at doing everything, is it good?
No, it's not here yet, though.
I know, but is it going to be from programming or from watching people?
It'll ultimately,
Yeah.
So if it's teaching itself, that's the sort of weird bit. So
The machine learning.
once
So it
it's
wouldn't
off
be.
and running,
Yeah, so it's about programming the right way for the best optimal way for it to machine learn. All right? Got it? Yeah. Okay, but once it could do that, and it'll also be able to do things much faster than us. So, yeah, it would be miles better than us.
So like it would be able to calculate stuff and like.
Oh, yeah.
that can, I mean, Mo's watch
Yeah, it can
is
do it.
better than that.
Okay, yeah, but it takes time to press all the small buttons.
Yeah, but that's my problem, right? Like, with me
Telling it
doing
what to
that,
do.
yeah.
It'll give
How do
you
you
the
press
answer
those?
instantaneously.
I don't. That's how I do it. Yeah, so AI is. People are genuinely scared about it.
Absolutely.
My next question
No, yeah.
is like how like the brain and the spinal cord.
Yeah, so it's, again, so it's all electricity. It's all neurons firing in our head, in our brain. So neurons, right? We have somewhere around.
That's a lot.
Yeah, thanks.
Big number.
100 billion neurons, I think it
100
is.
billion.
Yeah,
I heard
or
that.
85 billion.
I heard
it
that
was more
all
than
your
that, but-
blood vessels.
But then but it's not just the number of neurons, right? It's about the connections between
Mesh
neurons,
system.
right? So those synapses telling you. So if you have 100, you have the capability to do like trillions of connections.
I heard that all your blood vessels laid out
Hmm.
in one single line would like wrap around the earth like 3 times.
Yeah, I'd buy it.
Yeah.
I believe it.
I'll Google that, but utterly believable.
That's
Yeah.
so long.
That's a lot, yeah.
It's a lot to
Just
pack in there.
just in your body.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, everyone's like really tall.
Yeah, I love the way you
Like,
Yeah. If you think about it, I guess they are.
how would it go around the earth 3 times?
I don't
in one
know.
body?
Well,
But if you just took out, we did that class in DNA, right? If you took out all the DNA in your body, not just one cell, so one cell would be as tall as us. If you took out all the DNA in your body, it goes like out of the solar system, right? So it's very,
How
very.
does it fit?
How does it fit? It's all coiled together. It fits.
tight. It's well packed.
We're taking a 3D measurement
bigger than
and
the
doing it
solar
in
system. There you go.
into a 2D lens. So it's there's an extra dimension to play with. But anyway, right? Yeah. So it's all about to be honest, right? We know what is happening in the brain. So when you're thinking, it's these electrical signals passing from neurons in different regions of our brain that do different types of tasks. So you have one for making sense of what you see, one for making your muscles move and coordinating them, one for just the smells and tastes.
Can, like, read and understand what it says.
Yeah, and then so we have all of these different parts. There's an emotion center in our brain, right? Then what makes us humans special is that we have one region that nothing else has, called the prefrontal cortex, which is right there. Yeah. And what that does is that it's great. It's like the manager of the brain that tells the other bits, don't do that, stop this, stop that, right? So that's what makes us quite unique as humans, because nothing else, not even the apes, have that part.
Makes us reasonable.
Yeah.
Can do.
Yeah. Right. So for the most part, actually, kids, that bit of the brain,
absolutely,
right, that makes us humans special, doesn't come fully online until you're like 25 years old.
What?
Yeah.
So wait.
So it's kind of like you're a whole other species.
You could do something silly, something you regret, and you're being told off for it. Just say, well, it's not my fault.
Yeah, it's
still developing my
prefrontal cortex.
And you'll be off the hook. Science.
Yeah, because you're actually, that's what actually is this thing. You're going to be a teenager soon as well. You'll figure this out, and your mom will as well.
I still have 4 years to go, Mom.
Right? But there's this, like, it's you are thinking differently to how an adult thinks. Sort of. There's a very important part of your brain that isn't fully online yet. But it's still a mystery as to, like, why a certain pattern of synapses firing makes you see the color red. That bit we don't understand, and I don't know if we ever could. Our language isn't
don't
really
fully understand the brain.
it's a mystery, some parts of it. I mean, we understand, how do I explain? We understand the mechanics of it, but we don't understand certain things like consciousness and free will. We don't understand, we don't even understand if other animals, what they might be feeling at the same time. It's all very subjective.
We're getting better. So we're good. We're getting better and better at looking at the brain, and depending on what you're thinking, depending on what you're doing. And so we've got a basic map of the brain now, and that map gets more and more specific. Where it gets really complicated is that not everyone's map is identical. So if we measured all three of our brains and told us to think or do or say the same things or experience the same things, you wouldn't get an identical pattern. Yeah. So my brain would be firing slightly differently. There'd be rough areas of the map that were similar. But to get it super nuanced to those individual synapses and why that is happening, you'd need that computer.
No two brains are the same.
No.
Yeah, and also a lot of this is done in a machine called an MRI machine.
Oh yeah, I almost did it.
Yeah, so you can also get a function. I've never been in.
I did a CT. I did a CT scan.
Yeah, and then you get a functional MRI. Okay, where so you're awake while you're inside it, and you can answer. Yeah, you're awake anyway, but you can see it's like a live feed of the activity in your brain. So you could like flash a picture of a tree, and we can see which bits of your brain light up when you see a tree, and then flash something else, a car, and you see which bits of your brain light up. And then if we're just watching, then we say think of an image that you saw, and we'll see if you start thinking about the image of the tree, then we can kind of read your mind and say like, oh, he's thinking of the tree right now.
Dream reading.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That is cool.
But
weird.
Scary. Do they do MRIs on people just to do that?
Yeah, for research, yeah.
Do they ever do it? They just do it randomly sometimes?
No. So this would be not just randomly. You don't just get a person off the street. So you'd have to, when a neurologist, all right,
You
or
want to come
neuroscientist.
and do an MRI for research?
I would. I'd be like, yeah, I'm in.
Oh, I want to. So even weirder than an MRI. So, and they don't just pick people off the street and say we want to do this.
Usually students.
But yeah, I'll give you 100 dirhams,
Yeah.
$50. People have brain surgery. Now, that's where it's quite horrendous, and I don't want it, but they take a piece of the skull away, the surgeons, so they can see the brain. They're doing this while the person is awake.
What?
I know.
Yeah.
Why
And then
awake?
you need them awake. So trying to understand how that particular brain
That
works. So
hurts.
you might get little electrodes, so you'd be touching different pieces of the brain
That would
and
hurt.
asking them to count. So can you count to 10? So you need this person to be awake so that they can count to 10. And then you might put the electrodes somewhere else, ask them to count to 10.
So wait, they have to feel all of that?
They won't feel it.
They won't put the finger in there.
You don't have.
Yeah.
So you,
That's not nice.
you won't necessarily feel. And
Yeah.
They're probably anaesthetized. So locally.
But you wouldn't feel that anyway, because you don't have those sensory nerve endings there
your
to
brain.
feel it.
So once they've
Right.
taken your skull off, you're fine.
Yeah.
But they're testing which parts of the brain are affecting what. So they might, let's put an electrode there, ask you to count. You suddenly can't count
Why?
because they're finding,
Do
well,
you not
we're touching that
understand
piece. Well, that's what they're trying to find out, what piece of the brain, what part of the brain. And they're not taking people off the streets.
Yeah.
Yes,
Or
there's
it's-
a reason to be
You want to
It might
get
also
your
be,
skull cut open?
Might also be a patient, like if say you have a tumor or something growing in your brain, right? So you have to remove that tumor. But while you're doing it, you don't want to damage any other parts of the brain that are important. So you don't want to damage the language center of your brain or the speech center. So by having the person awake while you do this, you can, and talking to you, you know if you are anywhere close. Because if you go a bit too far, then suddenly they're not speaking as clearly as they were. So you know, oh, wait, let's move a bit that way then. Right?
That's interesting.
It's scary. But a lot of reasons why we know which part of the brain does what is through diseases and disorders and injuries. So there's a famous case of this railway worker called Phineas Gage, and he was like,
Phineas and Ferb.
what?
Phineas and Ferb.
Okay, fine. Some other Phineas
Yes,
then.
another Phineas.
Yeah. So Phineas Gage, and so what happens? The building is working on this railroad, and there's like an explosion, I think, and this railroad spike goes up through his face and up into his brain and damages his prefrontal cortex, right?
Ow.
But he's still alive, by the way.
Oh, good.
No, I mean, not now. I mean, this is a while ago, right? So it damages the prefrontal cortex. Now, before this, Phineas Gage was just a normal, sensible human being, and all fine. But once this happened, and they took out the railroad spike, and he's recovered for all intents and purposes, right? He's a completely different person now. He has no self-control, and he's just a terrible person. Right. So we found out that this part of the brain, so through injuries like this, we know that, okay, so this part of the brain, what it does is that it exercises control over the other parts and makes you more, let's say, civilized.
So what, after he was mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't care so much what people thought of him.
Yeah. He was rude, mean, developed too many
Unreasonable.
bad habits that you probably wouldn't have.
That was interesting.
That wasn't, yeah. It's great. Brain is still a mystery, right? But we're finding out a lot more about it. Even with other animals, we still don't know how much they know. We don't know there's a famous thing, but we don't know what it's like for a bat to be a bat. Or if there is anything like, does a bat feel anything? So we know what it feels like to be a human. Is there yeah, because we are human, I know. Right? But does a bat feel something?
We haven't cut bat's brain open.
Sure, someone has.
Do they have brains?
But even if we did, how would we know what they're feeling? What's the subjective feeling?
So when you talk about intelligent animals,
Parrots can speak. How about that?
exactly. So does that make it an intelligent animal? So dolphins are intelligent animals. We know that.
Yeah,
we know that more based on their behaviours, and we start to understand their communication patterns. Chimpanzees are intelligent animals, but again, that's based on far more on their observing behaviour and understanding social sort of aspects of the animal than ever having any idea about the way that animal thinks.
Not them telling us.
Yeah. Pretty
I know
smart.
what 2 plus 2 is.
All right, math. Don't like my writing.
Yeah.
We would have to make them speak, then learn all of this, and then cut their brain out.
Yeah.
Well, there's orangutans that can sign language, so they can communicate with.
Also
There's a famous gorilla,
Parrots
was it?
can speak.
That could talk in sign language.
Parrots can speak.
Now, are they speaking or are they just...
Copying.
Yeah, because lots of birds, there are birds that mimic the sounds around them, like the lyrebird in Australia. It will mimic car alarms and chainsaws and
tragic.
stuff. Yeah, and but parrots can. It seems like they just no one knows why. Actually, it's a bit weird. No one knows why they do it because they don't imitate other animals in the wild wherever they are. But why imitate us then? Why not imitate us? But why say things? Say English words or whatever words.
Wannabes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's a lot we don't know. Like even for us, right? We can communicate with each other, but we have no way of knowing that the red, like there's a red armchair there. We don't know if the red that I am seeing is the same as the red that you are seeing.
What does it look like?
We think it is.
And then I call that red.
To me,
We
it's
all
green.
call.
It's green to me.
Yeah, but
Very good.
right. So we don't know that it's the same shade.
No.
What I might be describing as red is more.
Joined in there. What red chair? What are you talking about?
Yeah. So
It's not red.
I feel like that was a missed opportunity.
yeah.
I should have taken your lead there.
You see the exit sign? Yeah, that's what color it is.
Colorless.
No, no, that's what color the chair is. It's green.
Trouble is, it's when I try and describe a colour.
Yeah. Because it's too far removed from language.
Yellow, a very bright color.
No.
That is like
It's what a philosopher would call a qualia. It's something that you can't put into
into
words.
words.
Like what's right? Describe right.
Right.
Yeah.
So-
Without without reference to something else.
You know Elvis.
the opposite
his
to right.
lips. See which one goes out. Take that. That's my point of reference.
Without a point of
right.
reference.
I learned a lot.
And smells as well. You can't describe a smell.
Yay?
Yeah, I can say that. Oh, that smells like.
Good.
Smells like good.
It smells like good. I
like
can say it
food.
smells like roses, or it smells like something not as
But
nice.
you can't you have to describe roses.
Yeah.
Or like even flavors. How do you describe? You can describe it in comparison
Very
to something
chocolatey.
like chicken,
Very-
but
no,
less
very
so.
Everything's like chicken.
No, very chocolatey.
So yeah, you're saying you're describing
know.
like chocolate, right?
I know, but I just described chocolate.
Yeah,
By
what does
saying
chocolate
it's
taste like?
chocolatey.
Next question.
Right. That was a good little chat about intelligence. Yeah?
I learned a lot.
Yeah, you've got some good thinking going on. Keep that.
Yeah.
Keep those strange things that make you ponder. That's a great way to think.
Yep. Did you enjoy that?
Research.
Yeah,
Good.
it's very cool.
Enjoyed having you on. The amazing Selim. Your little YouTube channel.
Yeah, don't go to it.
Don't go
Don't
to
go
it.
there. Don't go there. Stay here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for watching this episode. If you haven't already, please do drop us a comment. We do like them. We have a read. We try and reply to all of them. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell button. We would love you to hit the like button. So thank you very much. We hope you've enjoyed this episode.
What?
Yeah.
We upload content every Sunday, so
Yeah.
please come back and watch some more. Should we give them a wave?
I thought it's Friday though.
Yeah, I know. We're
Yeah,
recording on a
upload. Two
Friday.
different things, isn't it? Two different things.
It's not going straight up.
Record,
Aww.
then we have to cut all this stuff out,
Yeah.
and then we have
This
to
is
upload.
it's Friday right now. And this will be
It might not even be the next
Bubble.
Sunday.
Why the next?
Might be the one after that.
Why
Yeah.
don't just today or tomorrow?
Okay, because I have other things to do with my life as well. Work more.
Wait, see that camera in the middle?
Yeah.
Wave at it.
Go on, bye.
Thank you very much.